I trust that all our human relationships should be grounded in love. Faith is one of those religious terms, one of those theological terms that can cause some people a lot of honest discomfort. It's often thought of as being synonymous, the word faith, in its meaning with religion or the practice of religion. My faith is Unitarian Universalism. Their faith is Buddhism. Her faith is paganism. His faith is Islam. Their faith is Judaism, and so on. Faith is also thought of as a body of doctrine or dogma or belief that define a religion or religious approach. The faith of the Catholic Church, the Jewish faith. Sometimes the official teachings of a religion or a particular church are even called articles of faith. Now, our Unitarian Universalism doesn't have a dogma or a doctrine or a set of statements of belief. We don't have articles of faith. The Universalists once did, actually. Our ancestors here once did, the Universalist Church of America, but the Unitarians did not. But Unitarian Universalism doesn't. Our faith, Unitarian Universalism, we say is covenantal. The promises we make with each other about how we will be a religious community are central. Whereas for a lot of religions, especially Christian ones, the statements of what everyone agrees to believe and how everyone agrees to think about certain religious teachings are central. Unitarian Universalists share a common faith in the sense of sharing a religion or a tradition, or faith of Unitarian Universalism. But because we don't have an official creed or an official teaching, each Unitarian Universalist, each one of us, has to do something a little more difficult than people in other faiths. We have to take on the task of creating a personal philosophy or theology or spirituality, a personal statement of faith, a personal set or articles of faith. And in this, we can expand how we think of the idea of faith. It might be helpful to know, as we also heard in the reading, that faith can be thought of as trust or confidence. Thus, your faith is that in which you have trust and confidence. Hebrew, the language of the Hebrew Scriptures of the Old Testament, and Koine Greek, the language of the Christian Testament, share an interesting element of translation into English. The word from Hebrew and Koine, both, that we translate into the word faith in English, is actually the word trust in those languages. Thinking of faith as trust, having faith, trusting in something or someone. For many people, that someone or something they have faith in might be God or Jesus or Buddha or Goddess, but it does not have to be. We can expand the idea of faith and trust to go beyond what is the usual religious teaching, religious teachers, the particular categories of theology. In what or in who do you place your deepest and most secure faith? In what and who do you ultimately and abidingly trust and have confidence in? You might think of our Unitarian Universalist values outlined in the new Article 2 of the UUA bylaws as things in which you put trust or faith. Unitarian Universalist theologian James Luther Adams taught that people will always have faith in something. Human beings will put their trust and confidence in things. The question is, what will be the object of the faith? Adams said that faith is either authentic or idolatrous. And what he meant by idolatrous was that authentic faith puts trust and confidence in something ultimate, the idea of God, human nature, the deepest meaning of life, ultimate values, but in a way that connects with our immediate personal experience of lived concerns, linking what he termed the intimate and ultimate dimensions of being human. And he said idolatry puts trust and faith and confidence in things that are more superficial, less valuable. Authentic faith, what gets our deepest attention, our most ardent loyalty, our deepest commitment, our most abiding trust, what excites us and animates us and gives meaning to our life. Adams says that this rarely, if ever, has anything to do with someone's creed or dogma or professions they make in church or temple. He says there are two ways to do theology. One is to start with a definition or concept of God, and the other is to identify known realities or tendencies that are actually worthy of loyalty, or that we can rely upon. Realities that are ultimately gifts to us, that are viewed as sacred, sovereign, that are inescapable for us if our life is to have meaning. The opposite of faith for Adams is not atheism, it's idolatry, which is putting faith or trust in unworthy, untrustworthy, superficial, unimportant, transitory things. The writer Anne Lamott says famously, "You can be sure you have created God in your own image when your God hates all the same people you do." And this God has become the idol of American Christianity. We know that white nationalist Christianity has this idolatrous God. And therefore they see and hold in contempt people who are not just like them. They trust and have confidence in a God that condones violence and guns and discrimination and cruelty and encourages dominance and power and wealth and lack of empathy and concern for others. This faith stands not only in opposition to, but is instead the polar opposite of anything that Jesus talks about if they want to be Christian. Instead of trusting that one should love one's neighbor as oneself, ask for trust and confidence in hating others. And in a sense, I think that most of them, I am sure deep down, put that trust in their hate for others because at some level they hate themselves. Your faith and where you place it matters. For you have faith in something. There are things you trust and have confidence in. And what those are important. Because if they are misplaced and idolatrous, they cause hate and pain and division and death. In 2005, a man with the quite unassuming name of Bobby Henderson published an open letter to the Kansas State Board of Education in the aftermath of their approving the teaching of intelligent design alongside creation in alongside evolution in Kansas's public schools. So Henderson wrote to the Board of Education and demanded that they also teach the creation of the world by the flying spaghetti monster. That the flying spaghetti monster created everything with his noodly appendage. This became an internet sensation, and kind of still is, I believe. An ongoing phenomenon. The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, or Pastafarians as they are more commonly known, call Bobby Henderson a prophet, and they offer ordination to their ministry, and they claim to be an authentic revelation, not a satirical commentary. You know, it's easy to find a negative view of faith when the object of faith is a deity or a cartoon, when it's something that encourages hate and discrimination and oppression, or when the object of faith is a glob of noodles with meatball eyes. Some faiths almost beg to be dismissed and ridiculed. But that plays into an atheism that's focused on dismissing religion as anti-intellectual in all cases. It's not always. Because some faiths are worth having. There are things worthy of our trust and confidence. Although trusting in jet pig, let's say, a plush stuffed pig with a jetpack, may seem as spurious as having faith in a bunch of cold noodles and meatballs, it's not. Because the cold noodles and meatballs don't really stand for something, but jet pig is an acronym of values that are worthy of your trust. I trust in love at the center of those values. I have confidence that a loving attitude is the best overall approach to life. And so I do my best to treat myself and others and the world around me lovingly, with compassion and kindness, consideration, dedication, resolve, courage, and authenticity. I trust that all our human relationships should be grounded in love, that we should treat each other with dignity and respect. I have faith in that power of love. I trust it. I trust it to conquer fear and hate and anxiety and isolation and loneliness. I trust the power of love to inspire and motivate and overcome injustices and establish peace. I trust, I have confidence in, I have faith in love. I trust in justice and equity. I trust that justice is really what love looks like when you put it into action. I have ultimate confidence that treating everyone fairly and making sure everyone is included and uplifted and has what they need to survive and thrive is the way to create a beloved community. I trust the power of transformation, that life is a constant process of change and evolution. I have confidence in the fact that there is no leader, no prophet, no God, no religion, no book that has the market cornered on wisdom for all time. I trust in pluralism. I have faith and confidence that a variety and diversity of people and culture and perspectives and even different faiths is a good thing. I trust that there is no such thing as a lesser human being. I trust, I have confidence in, I have faith that everyone is deserving of, worthy of, and needs love. I trust that interdependence is the way this existence works. That whatever or whoever created it or not, I have faith in that everything and everyone is locked into each other in what MLK called that mutual network of mutuality, of interdependence. And the best way to live in harmony in our world and community is with each other, depending on each other, relying on each other, having faith and trust and confidence in each other. I trust in generosity. I trust that as I freely give what I can to others, so things are returned to me. I trust in sharing resources in community. I have confidence that being grateful and approaching things with an attitude of abundance, that there is enough to go around for all of us, is the best and ultimately only way to coexist. It matters what we believe. If our faith is idolatrous in something like an unworthy God, we usually act accordingly. If our faith in a deity that is cruel and unkind and punishing and gaslighting is what we worship, then that's the kind of people we tend to be. If you trust in power and control and domination, you forever separate yourself from relationship and community and love. I have faith in the values of Unitarian Universalism, My confidence is in these things. I trust them to orient my life, give it meaning, steer my commitments and my actions, and encourage me to be brave and loyal and dedicate my life to creating a community grounded in these values. The most difficult part of any faith is it asks us to be vulnerable, to put our hearts and minds in a place where they might be let down, hurt, or abandoned by that in which we're having confidence and depend on. So traditional religion tells stories about God and different teachings to reinforce faith that it is not misplaced. The traditional Judeo-Christian framework has reinforcing stories that show trust in the deity in Judaism and Christianity is worthy, that it is not misplaced. They tell stories of Abraham's covenant with God, the miracle of Hanukkah, the rise of Esther, the friendship of Ruth and Naomi, and the friendship of Saul and David, the exodus from Egypt, the receiving of the commandments at Sinai, the angels appearing to the shepherds, the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, the miracle of loaves and fishes in the Last Supper and Easter. But other faiths have stories too that reinforce them, that your faith is not misplaced. Our liberal faith has reinforcing stories that tell us our faith is secure where we place it. Some of these stories are Plato's cave and Galileo's telescope, Darwin's journey to the Galapagos, the Seneca Falls Conference, the New Deal, the creation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the March on Washington, Selma, the United Farm Workers, Stonewall, Roe v. Wade. We have faith-reinforcing stories too. Traditional faith is reinforced by sacred scripture and writings, but so is liberal faith. Our texts just draw from a wider library. Instead of only the Upanishads and the Gita and the Bible and the Quran, we have poetry and the letter from Birmingham City Jail, novels of Octavia Butler. Traditional faith has ritual and ceremony, and so do we. We have our water ceremony and our flower ceremony and full moon gatherings and the chalice lighting and walks in the forest. Traditional faith forms congregations and communities to uphold, promote, and teach that faith. And so do we. You are not alone in your faith journey, and you are not misplaced in having faith and trust. It is worth your time and effort and pondering and thinking and feeling to find your own personal faith inside our Unitarian Universalism. It's worth it to find those things in which you trust with confidence as right and good and the way to be in this existence, the way to be human, to work for and to accomplish good and justice. George Kimmich Beatz says in his book, Transforming Liberalism, on the theology of James Luther Adams, that faith is always ultimately a personal commitment, a decision and an act of will that orients the heart and mind, a stance from which truer understanding can grow. It is in this sense they follow Paul Tillich's idea that faith is just simply having the courage to be. Because when you put your deepest trust and confidence in anything, you're trusting that that's the way to live, to be. Trusting is a brave stance, however it is done, because having faith is always a leap. It is a letting go for dear life and having the confidence that the object of your faith will carry you safely to the other side. Check out my website and blog at tonylorenzen.com for even more resources that will open your mind, touch your heart, and inspire your spirit.